It's part 20 of my series to visit every single neighborhood in New York, and today I'm headed to downtown Brooklyn. It's a pretty big neighborhood that extends from just inside of Atlantic Avenue all the way down to the East River and encompasses the Brooklyn neighborhood of Dumbo, as well as the entrances to the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan Bridge. It has some of the tallest skyscrapers in Brooklyn, one of the most distinctive being the Brooklyn Tower that looms over everything. It's so tall that you can pretty much see it from anywhere in the neighborhood, but I started out on the south end and the first thing that I saw was the Brick House. It's a flexible performance space and gallery that changes exhibitions frequently, and currently the gallery is holding blown glass items that are available for purchase at a pretty reasonable price. They also have artist studios and classroom spaces that make it a really great public resource. Another really cool organization in downtown Brooklyn is BAM. This is the first BAM sign that I saw, but I quickly realized that I'd be seeing a lot more. BAM stands for the Brooklyn Academy of Music, that has multiple venues all over the neighborhood that host events in theater, opera, dance, music, arts, literally everything you can think of, and they offer classes too. As I was walking past this building, I could hear some kind of band or orchestra playing, and that was really cool. Then I saw the Williamsburg Savings Bank Tower, which is a well-known landmark and was featured in one of the Spider-Man movies. While there's a handful of historic landmarks, what you'll mostly see in downtown Brooklyn is a lot of new construction, since this neighborhood has gone through a lot of change in the last few years, mostly becoming highly gentrified with high-rises and luxury apartment buildings. In the midst of all the scaffolding from ongoing construction projects, I found the Coffee Project, which really is a quaint and quiet cafe and was great for getting work done. Right around the corner is the Center for Fiction, which is a large bookstore and cafe that hosts a lot of events and classes with well-known authors and has plenty of space for seating. And as you can see, pretty much any fiction book imaginable. Then I came across the iconic Brooklyn Paramount Theater. It's a mostly standing room venue that shows artists from all around the world. It's a pretty big theater with capacity up to 2,700 people, but it still feels intimate, so it's a really cool spot to see some of your favorite artists. And then I came across Junior's Restaurant, which is famous for having New York's best slice of cheesecake. This location in downtown Brooklyn is their oldest location, open since 1950, and also one of their landmark locations. You can buy a full cheesecake, which was tempting, or you can just get a slice. After walking around the neighborhood for a while, I finally got to the base of the Brooklyn Tower. It's a mostly residential luxury building that stands as the tallest building in Brooklyn at 74 floors tall. It just finished construction in 2023, changing the skyline of Brooklyn forever. Though during the day it doesn't look as ominous, at night it seriously looks like something straight out of Gotham City. At its base is downtown Brooklyn's most lively area with plenty of shops, most of them chain stores, and even a mall. The City Point Mall hosts a full-size Primark and Target with multiple floors, which is something you really don't see in Manhattan. Inside, there's plenty of other stores and restaurants too. They even have one of the prettiest McNally Jackson bookstores that I've seen in the city, and I've been to a lot of them. This one takes the cake though. Plus, they have local stores like Brooklyn Made that sell goods from Brooklyn artists and suppliers, and there's some pretty cool merch. On the lower level, there's even more. There's a full market hall called the DeKalb Market that once I went down the escalators, I saw was so much bigger than I imagined. But they have a great selection of some very iconic restaurants in New York that usually have long lines or require reservations, and they even have a Katz, which, if you don't know, is one of the most famous delis in New York. And it didn't even look like there was a line down here. And then there's just a full-size Trader Joe's in there too. So far this was definitely one of the most accessible neighborhoods in terms of being near big-name shops, grocery stores, and public transportation. And over on Fulton Mall, there's even more shops, but the best part about these ones is that they're the factory and outlet stores for these big name brands like Banana Republic, Old Navy, American Eagle, Gap. They all sell the same clothes that they usually would, but they offer crazy discounts. Downtown Brooklyn is actually home of a lot of colleges and universities too, and this archway marks the center of Long Island University. Then I came across the New York Transit Museum, which I was really excited about. You actually have to enter through a subway station entrance just for this museum, and they have all kinds of real historic train cars dating all the way back to the BU cars that used to run in 1903, back when the trains were first built. It's really cheap to enter, and my favorite part is that they actually kept all the old advertisements inside the trains too, so you can really get a peek into what life was like at that time. There's a lot of franchises like Cava, Panera, and Shake Shack all down Adams Street that heads right to the Brooklyn Bridge, but the more pedestrian-friendly way to get to the bridge is through the Cadman Plaza Park. It starts down at the Brooklyn Borough Hall, which was the old City Hall of Brooklyn before it became a part of New York City. Around here, you'll see a lot of people skating and biking, and today there was a long line of people voting too. Even from far away, you can see the iconic arch of the Manhattan Bridge while you're walking towards it. On the main path, there's many statues, and this one is a brand new sculpture of the first ever hip-hop comic book character that was unveiled for breakdancing being in the Olympics for the first time this year. Just down the street, too, is the Unity sculpture that was installed in 2019 and will be a permanent landmark in the downtown Brooklyn area. As I continued through the park, I passed a few government buildings like the courthouse and saw that a lot of people were hanging out in this park with their dogs or just walking or playing games in the clearing in the center. After walking through the 10 acres of the park, I made it down to Dumbo, a smaller neighborhood in downtown Brooklyn that stands for Down Under the Manhattan Bridge Overpass. This area is much more of a touristy spot, so there were a lot of people headed to and from the Brooklyn Bridge and looking for the best views of Manhattan from the waterfront. I wasn't super interested in being in crowds of people, so instead of walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, I headed a few blocks over to the pedestrian entrance for the Manhattan Bridge, which a lot of people know about. It's very peaceful about 80% of the time, but there are trains that pass occasionally, so it can get pretty noisy. But the view, especially at sunset, is so gorgeous, and not many people can say they've seen Brooklyn Bridge in this light.